When was the last time your child called you without you calling first? I used to think working hard was the same as loving my family. Long hours, long distance, long silence. I told myself it was all worth it because every month I sent money home. Every month I sacrificed a little more. And every time I felt tired, I remembered why I started. For my son, for his future, for a better life than the one I had. That was enough. Or at least, that's what I believed. I still remember the day I left. He was standing at the door, small, quiet, holding onto his mother's hand. He didn't cry. He didn't say much, just looked at me with eyes that didn't understand. Dad will come back soon, I told him. I smiled, tried to make it sound easy, like it was just a short trip. But deep down, I knew it wasn't. At the airport, I didn't look back because I was afraid that if I saw him one more time, I wouldn't be able to leave. The first few months were the hardest. Everything felt unfamiliar. The language, the people, the work, long days, heavy tasks, endless noise. And then, silence. Every night. I returned to a small room, alone, with nothing but my thoughts. And a phone. I called home often, at first. Did you eat? How was school? Listen to your mother. Simple questions, simple answers. But slowly, the calls became shorter, less frequent. Sometimes, I was too tired. Sometimes, he was asleep. Sometimes, we just didn't know what to say. Years passed, not quickly, but quietly, like something slowly slipping away. Without making a sound, I kept working, kept sending money. More each year, better clothes, better school, a bigger house. I was proud of that, proud that I could give him things I never had. People told me I was a good father, a responsible man, someone who sacrificed for his family, and I believed them because it felt true. Until one day, I realized something. I didn't know my son anymore. Not really. I knew his age, his school, his expenses, but I didn't know his thoughts, his feelings, his life, the small moments. On the important ones, the ones that don't cost money, and that realization came slowly, but it stayed like a quiet voice asking, "When did you lose?" While trying to give everything, that question stayed with me. What did you lose while trying to give everything? At first, I tried to ignore it. I told myself I was just tired, overthinking, missing home, but the feeling didn't go away. It grew, quietly, day by day. One evening, I decided to call my son. It had been a while, longer than I wanted to admit. The phone rang, once, twice, 3 times. Then, he answered, "Hello?" His voice sounded different, deeper, older, not the little boy I remembered. "Hi, it's Dad," I said. A short pause. "I know," he replied. No excitement, no warmth, just recognition. "How are you?" I asked. "I'm fine." That answer again, simple, closed. The same answer I had given so many times, to others. "How's school?" I continued. "It's okay." "What did you do today?" Nothing much. Each answer, shorter than the last, like he was slowly stepping away from the conversation, from me. I tried to keep it going, asked more questions, said more things, but nothing changed. There was a distance, not in kilometers, but in connection, a silence that words couldn't fill. After a few minutes, he said, "I have to go." "So soon?" I asked. "Yeah, I'm busy." Busy. That word felt strange because I remembered a time when he waited for my calls, when he had so many things to tell me, when I was the one saying, "I'm busy." "Okay," I said quietly. Take care. You too. The call ended. Just like that. No, I miss you. No, talk to you later. Just silence. I stared at my phone for a long time, waiting for something. A message, a callback, anything. But nothing came. That night, the room felt smaller than usual, colder, heavier. I sat on the edge of the bed and thought about the past. All those nights I chose work over calling. All those times I said, I'll talk to him later. All those moments. I believe there would always be more time. But time doesn't wait. It moves, with or without you. And now, I was the one waiting, waiting for a call that didn't come, waiting for a connection that had slowly disappeared. And for the first time, I felt it clearly. Not guilt, not regret. Something deeper, something harder to face. I had given my son everything, except myself, and maybe that was the one thing he needed the most. After that call, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying his voice in my head. Calm, distant, almost like I was just another person, not his father. The room was quiet, but my thoughts were loud, too loud. So I picked up my phone again, scrolled through old photos, old messages, trying to find something that still felt real. There he was, a small boy, smiling, holding a toy I had sent from abroad. I remember that day. I couldn't be there, so I sent a gift. I told myself it would make him happy, and it did, at least for a moment. Then another photo. His first day of school, he was wearing a clean white shirt, standing next to his mother, looking nervous. I wasn't there. I told myself I would be there next time. But there was always another reason, another job, another month, another delay. I kept scrolling. Birthday photos, school events, small moments that I had only seen through a screen. And suddenly, they didn't feel like memories. They felt like missed chances, things that had happened without me. I stopped and put the phone down and sat in silence because there was one question I couldn't avoid anymore. If I went home now, what would I be to him? A father or just someone who sends money? The next morning, I woke up earlier than usual, but not for work. For the first time in years, I didn't rush, didn't check my schedule, didn't think about overtime. Instead, I thought about going home, not for a short visit, not for a holiday, but truly going back. The idea felt strange, uncertain, even a little scary, because I didn't know if it was already too late. At work, everything was the same. The noise, the pressure, the routine, but I felt different, disconnected, like I was finally seeing things clearly. A coworker asked me, "Why do you look so serious today?" I smiled a little. "Just thinking." "About what?" I paused, then answered honestly. "About what really matters." He laughed. "Money matters," he said. "Everything else comes later." I didn't argue, because I used to believe the same thing. But now, I wasn't so sure anymore. That evening, I sat alone again. But this time, the silence felt different. Not empty, but full of something. A decision waiting to be made. I looked at my phone, at my son's number, and for the first time, I didn't just want to call him, I wanted to be there. Because slowly, I was beginning to understand, and some things can't be fixed with money, and some distances grow too quietly until one day, you realize you don't know how to close them anymore. That night, I made a decision, not quickly, not easily, but clearly. I would go home, not for a visit, not for a few days, but to stay. The next morning, I told my manager. He looked surprised. "You've worked here for years," he said. "Yes," I replied, "and I'm grateful." Then why leave now? I paused because the answer was simple, but not easy to say. I think I stayed too long. He didn't understand. Maybe I wouldn't have understood either. A few years ago, I packed my things slowly. There wasn't much, a few clothes, some old photos, and memories. That didn't feel complete. Before leaving, I sat in my small room one last time, the place that had been my world for so long, the place where I worked, ate, slept, and waited. It had given me money, stability, a sense of purpose, but it had also taken something I couldn't get back: time. When the plane took off, I didn't feel excited. I didn't feel nervous. I felt quiet, like everything inside me had slowed down, as if I was finally ready to face something I had been avoiding for years. When I arrived home, nothing had changed. The same street, the same house, the same door. But this time, I didn't hesitate. I knocked. Footsteps came from inside. The door opened. And there he was, my son, standing in front of me. Not a child anymore. Not the boy from the photos, but someone older, stronger, a little distant. For a moment, we just looked at each other. No words, no movement, just silence. "I'm home," I said finally. He nodded. "Yeah," that was all. No smile, no surprise, no hug, just acceptance. Like my presence was expected, but not important. I stepped inside. The house felt familiar, but different, like I was a guest in a place that used to be mine. We sat down, not too close, not too far, an awkward distance. "How have you been?" I asked. "I'm okay," he replied. That word again. Okay. Always okay. But never more than that. I wanted to say something else, something meaningful, something that could fix everything. But the words didn't come, because deep down, I knew the truth. Years of distance cannot be erased in one moment. Silence filled the room again. He looked at his phone. I looked at my hands. Two people, connected by blood, separated by time. And in that quiet space, I realized something painful. Coming home was only the beginning. The harder part was learning how to be a father again. That night, we didn't talk much. We ate dinner in silence, simple food, familiar taste. But something was missing. Not the food, not the place. It was the feeling. On the connection that used to be there, but wasn't anymore. After dinner, he went to his room, closed the door, quietly. No good night. No see you tomorrow. Just distance. I stayed at the table long after everything was finished, looking at the empty chair across from me, trying to remember when things started to change. But there was no single moment, no clear turning point, just years, years of absence, years of later, years of believing there would always be time. The next morning, I woke up early, out of habit, but this time, there was no work to rush to, no bus to catch, no schedule waiting for me. Just a quiet house and a chance, a small one, but still a chance. I made breakfast. Simple, like I used to. When he was a child, when mornings were noisy, when he would sit at the table talking about everything. I placed the food down, waited. A few minutes later, he came out, looked at the table, then at me. "You made this?" he asked. I nodded. "Yeah." He sat down, slowly, took a bite, didn't say anything, but he didn't leave. And somehow, that felt important. "I'm not going back," I said quietly. He looked up. "For work," I added. "I'm staying here." A small pause. "Okay," he said, just one word. But this time, it felt different, not distant, not closed, just neutral. And maybe that was enough. I know I wasn't here, I continued, for a long time. He didn't respond, but he listened. I thought sending money was enough, I said. I thought I was doing the right thing. My voice was calm, but honest. I didn't realize what I was missing. Another silence, but not the same as before. This one felt softer, less heavy. I can't change the past, I said, but I want to try. Now. He looked at me. For a moment longer than usual, not fully open, but not closed either. Then he nodded, slightly. I have school today, he said. I know. He stood up, got his bag, walked to the door, then stopped, just for a second. See you later, he said. And then he left. That moment was small, easy to miss, but for me, it meant everything. Because it wasn't about fixing everything at once. It wasn't about becoming close again overnight. It was about something simpler, being there, every day, in small ways, in quiet moments, without distance, without excuses. I sat there, in the quiet house, and for the first time in years, I didn't feel far away. If this story feels familiar to you, if you've been working, sacrificing, and telling yourself it's for them, take a moment to ask yourself one question. Are you giving them everything, or are you missing the one thing they truly need? Because sometimes the most important thing you can give is simply your presence.